Hey dear, Zunzi here with a very special review today for Klara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. And in case you don't know who Kazuo Ishiguro is, he won the Nobel Prize for Literature and he wrote Remains of the Day and the very emotionally devastating Never Let Me Go, which I have read by him. I don't want to talk about it too much because I think it's best to go into it blind, but all I will say is that it's emotionally devastating and it's a dystopian, and I'll leave it at that. But anyway, back to Ishiguro. He is amazing at understanding and writing people, and I think just me as a reader, I read because I like stepping into other people's shoes. I like seeing from other points of view, and that is what Ishiguro excels at, like character studies. No matter what genre, I think first and foremost, the point is to understand people. And I feel like Klara and the Sun is no exception. So let's get into the brief plot summary of this book. This book follows Klara, who is an artificial friend, an AF, and she's designed to be a companion to children, and she's also solar powered. So she is obsessed with and reveres the sun. It's kind of funny. She reminds me a little bit of Solaire from Dark Souls, so praise the sun. But the book starts off with her waiting to be adopted by a child at an AF store, and she's like at the storefront observing people and learning how humans work so she can be a better caretaker to her future child. And she catches the eye of a sickly, like chronically ill girl named Josie. She falls in love with Klara, so she adopts her, and Klara decides that she wants to help her child the best she can, so she kind of embarks on a secret mission to try and cure or save her. That's kind of the gist of the story, but what's remarkable about Klara is even though she's like supposed to be an artificial intelligence, an AI, or AF in this case, she is very empathetic and has extraordinary observational skills. So kind of within the plot, she acts almost like, the Shakespearean fool who observes and provides commentary on people. So through Klara, we see the world and how human relationships and human interactions work and social dynamics. So it's almost like a psychology experiment. I said earlier that Ishiguro is excellent at character studies, and it's like Klara here is the observer for us. We are in her head, and she's almost childlike in a way, very naive, and sees things through rosy glasses. It's almost told like a fairy tale, I would say. So even though everything is kind of rosy to her, what's interesting is the world, it feels there's hints of dystopia. So for me, this book excels in putting you in Klara's head and showing the characters' motivations. But for me, like where it's weakest, probably because it's also a limited point of view from Klara's point of view, I would say the world building. Like we get hints of dystopia and social dynamics and disparity between classes. Like there's the lifted and unlifted, which aren't ever really explained, but apparently if you're unlifted, it's really hard for you to get access to school, and Josie's friend is having difficulties finding a school that'll take him because he's unlifted. And that's never fully explained, even though it seems like kind of integral to the plot. There was an interview from Ishiguro where he talked about his motivation for writing this novel, where he was fascinated by AI and our relationship to technology, as well as genetic engineering. So if lifted means you're genetically modified, I think that would have been a really interesting point to explore, and it feels like a missed opportunity because there would have been a parallel between like what makes robots human-like, at what point can they become human, and at what point can humans no longer be considered human. There would have been a Theseus ship kind of argument, and that would have been fascinating. So for me, there are several like unexplained plot points that were missed opportunities, and the story's themes feel half-baked. And I feel like the story also kind of hints at people fearing AI. Like there are some scenes where AI are not treated well by their children. It's kind of like Toy Story where they abuse their AI because they're like, oh, they can't actually feel pain. But Klara, she can feel emotional pain, even if her design is sturdy. So yeah, I feel like there were hints and opportunities that weren't explored. I wonder if it was an artistic decision from Ishiguro's point that he wanted to create this kind of optimistic novel and felt like that would have been a whole dark can of worms. But at the same time, why hint at it? Why tease us? So yeah, there's plot points. Also, like Josie's sickness is never explained. So I felt like there is a lack of tension or conflict because like the conflict wasn't fully addressed, and we don't get into this culmination of problems until like 2/3 of the way through. But then I feel like the final third of the novel redeemed it for me. Like the final pages, my eyes were burning, and it's just really beautiful and bittersweet and about memory. And yeah, I would say this novel kind of reminds me a mix between Toy Story for robots and AI, the one with Jude Law as a male gigolo robot. That one. But my eyes are burning towards the end. It's just that parts were missing. It focuses so much from Klara's point of view. I don't know if because of what her focus is. I would think, I don't mean to be so negative, but I think from Klara's standpoint of wanting to take care of Josie, she would want to investigate what her illness is so she could take care of her, but it's like some ambiguous I don't know if the point was like it was supposed to be more magical or mysticism where it's not given a scientific explanation, but for me, I would have liked that. But anyways, yeah, the observation of like character motivations and like the mother was probably one of the most interesting characters for me. To be a mother to a chronically ill child, how would that affect her? And the dynamics between her and Josie were really interesting. Yeah, this was still a beautiful, contemplative, like wistful and nostalgic novel to me. There are just parts that I wish were fleshed out more. But if you've had an opportunity to read Klara and the Sun, please let me know your opinion below. I think I might be the odd one out because there's a lot of rave reviews. So just because I might be nitpicky because my brain does not stop thinking, I like to have answers for almost anything. So you might actually enjoy it and feel way more compelled than I did. I didn't feel compelled until like the final third. I think I did some stars. But let me know your thoughts about Klara and the Sun or any of his other novels down below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side.